Okay, here we are back aboard the USS Albuquerque, SSN 706. Just following on from my previous mission. Obviously, we got both our mission target and its escort. So we're continuing now. Head off into deeper waters. So obviously the Soviets are winning the war, on the land at least. Okay, let's see what we got. Just a couple of things to mention. I'm running the new version, the beta patch. Actually got deployed as the official patch today, so hopefully that might clear up a few bugs. And another thing I'm doing, I noticed on the Steam forums that the difficulty level, I was playing on Elite, but the developers actually recommend for the most realistic experience to try it on hard. So I've dropped it down a bit. And let's see how that works out. So we're currently 600 feet, 26 knots. As per usual, we're going to drop down to one third. Let's see what we've got out there. Getting an active return. And looks like we've been spotted. At least heard. So standard torpedo evasion as last time. I want to clear the position that I've been spotted. Try and get out the sensor cone of the incoming torpedo. Not getting any further returns from the torpedo, so it's in passive mode at the moment. Hopefully if I can get far enough away, it will go past. So coming to a heading of, or a northerly heading, shall we say. And we're going a bit deep there. Okay. There's no surface layer, so we're not going to be. If there was, what I would have done is risen up and got above the layer and hidden there. But we just haven't got the option, so we're just going to have to get out of the area of interest. Okay, we've got some distance. I'm going to drop down to 1/3 again. Have a listen. Looks like the torpedo is still tracking us. We've got contact Sierra 1, which is probably the shooter. Foxtrot looks to be a good match. I'll fire a snapshot just down the line of bearing. And at the same time, try and get out of the way of the incoming. Come round to a course of 180. Lost the wire on first torpedo from G2. Looks like the torpedo above is doing a circle search pattern. I'm hoping that I'm deep enough it won't pick me up. Looks like our own torp's gone active and has acquired something. Hopefully it's the Foxtrot. Let's just drop down to 1/3 again. I think we should be safe from that torpedo at the moment. We've got 95% confidence in our solution. It looks like the Part 48's got him anyway. I saw a mod on Subsim as well that reduces the visibility under the ocean to more realistic levels. I'm in kind of two minds to use it, because on one hand it would make things look a bit more realistic, but the way the game works is obviously you're lacking a lot of the sensors and screens they would have on the real sub, and this stuff is represented in the 3D world. So it would make things certainly a lot harder. It might be something I'll try. Okay, looks like we're going to get a kill here. Foxtrot down. Okay, so we'll just run a time compression on just until that torpedo runs out of fuel. Okay, let's see if we can leave. I'm not actually sure what my mission objective is. Just wonder if there's a way I can access the briefing, but yeah. Got a review orders. Okay, so it's the okay. I thought we completed that, but perhaps not. Okay, we have got a layer. It's a weak one, but it's better than nothing. No contacts at the moment, so we'll make a turn to port, just clear our baffles. It's quite a Humphrey Tabor-esque scene. Okay, still nothing. Again, I'm not entirely sure how well the towed array is modelled. Obviously, we made a turn to port there, so the towed array should take time to straighten out on a heading. I'm not sure whether that is modelled or not. We'll keep going straight for a couple of minutes. Obviously, we don't pick anything up. We'll try and have a look above the layer. Another thing the devs have said working on at the moment is voices for the crew. So I assume when we get these text notifications in a future patch, we'll actually get some audio cues, which would be nice. In fact, I think what we'll do, we'll come onto periscope depth. Maybe see if there's any electronic emissions. Again, pretty noisy background noise, 117 decibels. Appear to be anything on the SM. Let's just have a quick look. Nada. Okay, well we can't leave, so there must be something somewhere. Let's try and go back down again. And we'll come around to a different heading. Another thing which I'm not sure whether you can do or not, but another common tactic would be with the towed array. Obviously, when at slow speeds, the towed array droops a bit, and a common or useful tactic would be for a submarine to operate above the layer, but have the towed array droop down below it, so you can hear what's beneath you, but you're more difficult to detect because you're above the layer. It's quite a common one for surface ships with towed arrays to use as well. In fact, I'm not picking anything up. We would have heard a surface ship, I think, by now, unless it was a long way away. One of the more difficult things to detect is a diesel submarine operating on electric motors. They're incredibly quiet, so that could be why we're not seeing anything. Still a bit of time compression here. Well, it doesn't appear to be anything I can detect. Obviously, we know through the game that there's something out there. So due to that, I think I'm going to sprint ahead a bit and just see if I can get out of the area and at least go back to the map. At the very least, we might get whatever's out there to fire at us and thereby reveal its position. Okay, looks like we can leave, so let's do that. So we just bumped into a fleet of skimmers. So the ambient noise has gone up again. Someone's pinging. Try and get up to periscope depth. Should be able to get a bearing from that active sonar, but nothing's coming up yet. So we have got a rough bearing. Go, we've got a contact. I'll classify that once we get to periscope depth. Okay, quite a strong signal on the ESM mast. Let's have a look through the scope. Not something visually, but conditions don't look the best. Let's take it down. And in the meantime, try and work out what this is. Could be a cruster. I'm going to say it's the cruster for now. Again, one thing that's not in the game, obviously we raised our ESM mast. From the frequency of the radar, we could actually work out what type of radar it was, and then from that deduce what the platform was that was emitting it. 63% solution. Okay, I'm going to turn towards the target simply because at the moment we're presenting our side to it, which makes a massive target for its active sonar to bounce off of. By turning into it, there's less of a cross section, and it should make us hard to pick up. Obviously, because of various course changes and depth changes and what have you, we're improving our solution. So I think we'll be going for a torpedo shot. We could have loaded and fired harpoons, but there's always the chance that he'll shoot those down. So 95% confidence in his position, 26 knots heading east. Okay, let's go for it. I'm not going to do evasive manoeuvres just yet. It's pretty noisy. He may not have heard those launches. The torps are fired on passive. We've got a good idea of his locase, coordinate, course and speed. So I'm going to leave it quite late for the torpedoes to go active, and obviously hopefully by that time when he does pick them up it will be too late. We'll see. The graphics in this game are just amazing. I mean, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Seems to be running a zigzag course. Not sure what these mean. May have to look them up. I still don't think he's heard the torpedoes. If he had, I'd expect him to make a sharp turn to starboard, try and put some distance between them. He's speeding up slightly. He's making the turn now, maybe. Yeah, we can see he's made a slightly snaking course. Obviously this is assuming that it is a Cruster guided missile cruiser, but it seems to be a good match so far. He's of course, the other thing is there might be a delay in us mapping his plot. Obviously we need to work out the target motion analysis, but it would appear that he's making quite a smooth turn to the south. But he has slowed down as well, so perhaps he hasn't picked them up. Obviously once they go active, there should be no mistaking the fact that he's under attack. Okay, torpedo number 1 is active. It looks like it's acquired him. Torpedo 2 is active, we've still got the wire on it, so let's direct it in. Slow down again, so they are approaching from a rear aspect. I think number 2 could be possibly in his baffles. I'd be surprised if torpedo 1 was. Okay, looks like he's finally woken up. Looks like torpedo 2 is acquired. Might be overkill, but I'd rather get him sooner rather than later. And if we just fired one torp and it had missed, obviously he'd know we're there and we'd be on defensive. Is the first one going to do it? That's a hit. Doesn't look like it's enough to sink him immediately. One thing they did mention in the patch notes was that they have reduced the amount of explosive in the weapons warheads. Obviously if it is a cruster, it's a reasonably large boat. We've lost his plot. That could actually be. I was going to say don't know if the game models explosions. Obviously, if there's a torpedo going off, it's going to mask all the other sound around there. That could be what we're seeing there. The fact that there's been an explosion and we've lost our track. There's a noisemaker in the water. Obviously there's no sign of that sound washout on the narrowband display here. Torpedo 2's gone into a search pattern. So reacquired something. Appear to be another hit. Surely that's got to be enough. Yeah, out she goes. Nice hit amidships. It would have broken her back. But there we go. So it was a Cresta 2. Nasty. Right, okay. Still getting some active pinging going on there. I don't know if that's because the Cresta's still pinging somehow. Let's just see if we can leave. It says an aircraft nearby. Right, okay. Maybe they've dropped a active sonar buoy. Or maybe it's the helo from the Cresta. Yeah, something pinging us to the south. So let's run north. I was watching one of Jive Turkey's live streams before. Obviously, he's actually served a lot of time on real submarines, so he knows a fair bit about it. And he was saying, in his experience, aircraft have a hard time picking up submarines. When they do, it gets nasty because they can literally pen you in with a ring of sonar boys around you, but they do have a hard time acquiring you in the first place. Oh, there is a torpedo in the water. It's not mine. Okay, let's get out of it. Yeah, that'll be what the active ping is. Again, it would be nice to, on active sonar pings, you can analyze the frequency of the sonar, and that'll limit the type of thing that's emitting it. So in this case, we'll be able to tell that active ping was from a torpedo or maybe an active sonar buoy or whatever, but just by analysing it. And I've gone too deep again. Looks like the line of bearing to the active sonar return is moving, which is good, because if it was constant, it would probably mean it was tracking us. Let's turn west a little bit more. So a while back when I used to play Dangerous Waters and Sub-Command, etc., I remember reading analogy for submarine or ASW combat, which I think works rather well. And the analogy is this. So imagine you're in a large room. It's completely pitch black. And in one hand you've got a torch, and in the other hand you've got a shotgun. There's somebody else in the room, and they've got a torch and a shotgun, and you have no idea where they are, and they have no idea where you are. Like I say, it's pitch black. You can't see them. So the only way you're going to be able to tell where they are is by listening. Obviously you're going to want to move around because it's a large room and they could be at the other end of it. The faster you move, the more sound you make. If you want, you can turn on your torch, but the moment that you do that means that they'll spot you as well, and there's, in all likelihood, they'll spot you before they spot them, because it's easier to pick up a light in the middle of pitch black rather than point it directly and illuminate the person that you're looking for. I think that works pretty well, really. it is very much like that. You are completely blind in a submarine. It's all about trying to hear your target before he hears them. It's a trade-off between moving around and getting good coverage and being effectively deaf because you can't hear anything, and staying very still and hoping that it will come near enough for you to hear him. Obviously the torch is your active sonar, so if you send out a ping, yeah, you'll pick up stuff around you and you'll get an instant if there is a contact. It's range and bearing, but you're also telling them where you are. So that's why it's majority of the time, if not all the time, best to use passive centers. And obviously the shotgun's your torpedo, so you can blast your shotgun off into random direction if you think you know where this guy is in the dark, but if you miss, you've given away your position. Right, looks like we picked the torpedo up and it looks like it's acquired us. You can hear rotor sounds there, so it looks like we are dealing with the helo from the Cruster looking for revenge. Well, going at full bell anyway. Okay, so again, looks like it dropped the torpedo, but it's on a circle search pattern. Looks like there's two. Yeah, there is. Interesting, the Russians seem to have loved the counter-rotating main rotors on their helicopters. Obviously the kind of Western or NATO ones have a tail rotor, but they seem to like that. They use it on quite a lot of their helicopters. Okay, I don't think there's any chance that the torpedo is going to require us. Well, I'm going to slow down to 2/3 ahead. Let's try and make us as quiet as possible at the same time. Create some distance. You obviously got a thought you got a return or a hit there. So maybe by going a bit quieter we can throw him off. Again, the sea's quite noisy at the moment, so he's going to struggle to pick us up. Yeah, looks like he's which direction is he flying in? He is kind of flying in a northwesterly direction. Just going down to dip his sonar in again. Oh, that's quite nice. They actually modelled the question is, how close is he? Obviously, if that is the helicopter from the Cresta, we've killed him as well because he's not going to have enough fuel to get home. I'm tempted to go to time compression, but it's tricky because if he does pick us up under time compression, we won't know much about it. Let's give it a go. Okay, that torpedo. I must say, I'm very pleasantly surprised by this game. When I first saw it, I thought, "Oh my God, they brought out a new Dangerous Waters," and it's not like that. Dangerous Waters strive to be rather in-depth, no pun intended, submarine sim. You actually get to work the sonar and the sensors and all the rest of it. But this does a pretty good job. The sonar and sound modelling, all the rest of it seems to be pretty good, and it does give you that sense of feeling that you're the commander of a submarine, and it's really the crew which are doing all the kind of nitty gritty. But you still have to deal with kind of the same sort of decisions and use the same sort of tactics and what have you. So that's pretty good. I think the games have been received very well by the kind of community. I think they've kind of done well on sales. There's a lot of this game on YouTube. There's a lot of people talking about it on Subsim and on Steam. And as I said, general impressions appear to be positive. Obviously, there's a few bugs at the moment. We've had the first patch out today. There's stuff apparently planned for the future, and I hope it has sold enough copies for the devs to go, right, we'd like to expand this. Being able to sail in a Russian sub would be amazing, although given the time period it might not be particularly easy, but it would certainly be interesting to give it a go. Failing that, what would also be nice would be a full graphical mission editor. I'd love to do a kind of Cold War scenario where you have to track and analyze subs, and that could be quite good. But we'll have to see. There are a few missions being released by people on Subsim already, using the kind of bare bones modding tools that we've got. And hopefully this is just the beginning, because it's been a long time since we had a decent Subsim out there. Okay, can we leave? Yes, we can. Ah, there's a car out there. Okay. Still need to find this missile sub. I'm assuming it's this guy. He'll be heading for the convoy lanes. So in the event of World War III, the NATO strategy was rather in World War II, have escorted convoys. What they would do is they would actually form what they call transit lanes, and they keep corridors of the ocean patrolled by ASW vessels, maybe submarines, obviously rely heavily on the sausage nets and all the rest of it, to keep these transit lanes free of Russian subs and get all the reforger stuff coming over from America to support the NATO armies in the field. Looks like Sweden has been overcome. Right, see if we can find. Nothing yet. Lost that guy. There seems to be more coming in. Okay, so as expected, NATO ground forces are falling back under the Soviet juggernaut. They're taking a heavy toll, but okay, bearing 330. Weak surface duct. Just check our stores. So we've got 5 48s left, which isn't great. So 330 somewhere out here. Quite moderate layer, could be handy. So another thing that the attack subs would do when moving around is sprint and drift. So say you're looking to go from one location to another. Obviously if you go flat out, you're never going to hear anything, and you could sail past the entire Russian fleet and you wouldn't know about it. So what they'd do is they'd run at flank for maybe 20 minutes and then turn off the engines and just drift, and do that on a regular basis, just to make sure that there's nothing in the area. Okay, so we picked up a contact, 2 contacts, Sierra 1, Sierra 2. Sierra 2 seems to be the nearest. Let's have a look and see what it is. Could be an alpha. Okay. See what S3 is. Sierra 3's cavitating. November. And Sierra 1. Possibly Victor 1. Okay. I don't know why November's cavitating. Again, the Alpha's pretty noisy. The Victor 1's quite noisy, and the November's even older. So I'd be surprised if they picked us up. Do we have any idea where they are? Looks like they're saying that they're above the layer. Oh, sorry, below the layer. The Alpha's above it, and November's below it. Getting a good solution on the Alpha, again, not surprisingly, because it's incredibly noisy submarine, although incredibly fast. I'm going to start another leg, so I'm going to turn to the south, hopefully improve our track. The Alpha's getting rather close. I don't want him in my baffles, so... let's try and go up nearer the layer as well. Yeah, 3,600 yards is not very far at all. Okay, looks like we've got the Victor's course. And I'm assuming November's headed in a similar sort of direction. as I said earlier, obviously the idea is if we get above the layer, it'll make it more difficult for the submarines below the layer to hear our torpedo launch. Although the alpha's close enough that it probably won't matter. So we've got 5 torpedoes left. Ideally I'd like to spend 2 on each. But we might have to start being a bit more frugal. Pretty sure that's an alpha. Good looking sub, the alpha. I think it's my one of my favourite of the Russian subs. The entire hull is made of titanium, so you can only guess how much each one of these cost to build. Really quick Russian sub, but very noisy. I believe it had a liquid metal cooled reactor, which generated a lot of noise. But it's designed to go at full speed towards carrier fleets and what have you, and just shower them with torpedoes. Great looking sub. Reactor return. Again, I'd love to know what frequency that was. Appears to be coming from the bearing of the Victor. Now if this alpha continues its turn to starboard, we can get into its baffles, which means it definitely won't hear our torpedo launch. Let's head north a bit. Looks like the Victor's thinks it's found something. It's sped up to 26 knots. Looks like the Victor's, the Alpha is coming shallow. switch on speeding up to 10 knots. Try and move in a position behind the Alpha. Okay, Alpha's been rather obliging and changed to a more westerly heading. He might be coming all the way around. I wonder if this is a crazy Ivan. Drop down speed just in case. He's maintaining his speed, so steady on that course. I'm going to go for a shot. Actually, before I do that, I want he is deep at the moment, so let's send the torpedo under the layer 2. See what happens. So hopefully until the torpedo enables, it will be running above the layer, and then where it gets to its enable point, enable, duck down out of the layer, giving the Alpha no or little warning. That's the theory at least. Let's see if it works. Oh, we have picked up the Victor again. See what he's doing. Oh, that must be his last night position. And same for the November. I'm assuming that once I go back down below the layer, I'll pick them up again, but let's deal with the Alpha first. Doesn't appear to be reacting yet. Torpedo's nearly enabled. Down it goes. It's gone active, and it's acquired almost immediately. Alpha's finally heard it. I think it's dropping noisemakers. Let's see how fast this thing goes. Up to 20 knots already. Torpedoes manoeuvring around the noisemaker. 27 knots. Come on, you're going to get a hit. 32 knots. There we got him. Alpha down. Okay, now his friends Victor and November now know that there's an enemy sub out there. Okay, so that's quite noisy. Let's go down below the layer again and have another listen. Again, it would be awesome if it modelled the drooping of the towed array, but hey ho. What I'll do as well is I'll come on a northerly course because our towed array has a cone where it can't pick anything up towards our front. Down to our last 4 torpedoes. Okay, we've got the November. It's bearing at the moment. The next highest threat, or probably the biggest threat now, is the Victor. It's certainly more capable than the November. The reason I took the Alpha out first was because it was closer and he had more chance of picking me up. More to the north, see if we can get the November on the towed array. Let's just check the classification again. Yeah, it looks like it has to be a November. Closer than that. One of the nice things about this game is obviously being able to drive the submarine yourself. Is some of the crazy angles it gets to. And I believe the term that was used at the time was angles and dangles. I imagine it'd be quite interesting being aboard one of these things when it's doing a steep dive or ascent. Anything not nailed down would probably fly everywhere. Victor again, see if it is a Victor. Pretty sure it is. Question is what mark. So I think a Victor one's the best match. Right, we've got November's course. So it's pretty much heading straight for us. Which probably means let's kill it. So let's go back up above the layer again. Confidence in our solution. So again, we want the torpedo to go deep. As a rule of thumb, what I'll do is I usually set the torpedo to enable about 75% of the distance towards the target. Obviously you don't want it to go active too soon because it'll give the target the most amount of time to evade, and you don't want it to go too close in case your solution's wrong and the torpedo's gone past the target. So about there maybe. Okay, let's see what he does. He's in a, obviously we're not in his baffles this time, so there is a chance that he could pick up the launch. So far, no change. Okay, so we've lost the wire. I should have thought about that really. I should have been pointing more towards the target, but made a harpoon. harpoon, might as well. Or have we got 3 torpedoes left in stores? Let's see. Okay, so we've actually got more torpedoes than I thought. That's good. Okay, what's the November doing? Sweet FA at the moment. It's maintaining course and speed. And allegedly depth. Really ugly looking submarine. Okay, looks like the torpedoes enabled, and it's acquired something. November's reacting is up to 18 knots. Hard turn to starboard. Will it be enough? I don't think so. It's like the Victor's woken up as well. Torpedo's tracking something. I think it might have been spoofed by the noisemakers. It's a shame I lost the wire. It could well be that this torpedo's picked up the Victor. Make a turn to port, come around behind the November, possibly try another shot. Yeah, the Victor's running away from something. It's the November day. Same as. Becoming shallow. Don't think this torpedo is going to hit anything. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it will. Okay, looks like we got lucky, but we still need to deal with this November, and he's evasive at the moment. Victor going down, I'm not sure. He's hurt, but is he down? Okay, so November's looped back, but it's still going hell for leather. Okay, appears to be slowing down. And going deep. I think the Victor's just damaged but not out. It must be terrifying if you're in a submarine, you just picked up a torpedo, whoosh past you, and you have no idea where it came from. Not a nice situation to be in. Okay, Victor slow to 10 knots. Okay, maybe we shoot a pair, because they're both going to react as soon as they pick up the launch. Victor's pretty close. No, that's we're looking at the November. Okay. Here goes nothing. Oh, he sank. He finally went down. Okay, good. Didn't actually mean to shoot that there, but anyhow. See if we can keep the wire. Yeah, he's down to creeping speed, desperately trying to pick us up. One small consolation is obviously he hasn't picked up the torpedo yet. I don't think he will do until it goes below the layer, which will give him a false bearing. If he does try a snapshot down the line of bearing, he'll be shooting this direction when in fact we're actually there. Get ready to take over control of the torque. Has he heard it? He's not changing course. There he is now. Yeah, and he's gone active, so he's just picked it up then. Torpedo's active, it's diving down. Let's guide it in. November's gone evasive again. Appears to have our lock on something. There's a noisemaker. Just picked up the Victor rack. Let's try and guide it back. So go up. Careful we don't acquire ourselves. Doesn't appear to want to go back up. I don't know if that's because I've set it to run at deep. Contact's jumping all over the place. Okay, looks like the torpedoes picked something up. Question is what? Still got 14 minutes left to run. I think it keeps on trying to pick up the Victor, but let's try dropping down the layer, see if we can get a better fix on it. Turn around, he's there. Right, we've got 95% confidence that I guess he's just too shallow. It could well be that that's why the torpedo can't pick him up, because he's above the layer. Okay, so it's a miss with that torpedo, obviously. Still not sure what it's tracking. It'd be nice if we could disable this now, because okay, we lost the wire. Is it really quiet? I'm going to have to re-examine the manual on the wire guiding, etc. There's obviously some stuff that I'm not doing quite right. Will it catch him? Has it got enough fuel to get there? It should do. Kaboom. I think that's one dead November. Appears to be sinking. Passing 700, 800 feet. Oh dear. I guess that passed test up. Right, okay, let's see. Yeah, we can leave. So I think we'll leave it for there for now. I'm going to do a bit of reading up of the manual, maybe kind of playing around in tutorials and single missions, and then we will continue the further adventures of the USS Albuquerque.